the movement, and if you get a certain one, this morning, what made it look really cool was you could see the nuclei moving. The nuclei don't stain, but they're transparent little spheres. And you can sometimes see those guys moving as well. And so this is really kind of cool. They were really moving pretty good this morning. And if you get those nice little young leaves at the tip, you'll see a little bit more of it.
It's really, really good right there.
Yeah, right here you can see it really well. It's really cool. I know, see, cool. Or is it moving on y'all's?
Oh, there's
No.
like this transparent thing moving around.
Oh, there's probably some little critters in there too. We had the extra bonus of seeing little critters moving around and swimming around in there today too. So you might see some of those little guys as well.
Nosotros nos estamos fijando y los ponemos. El de nosotros está aquí.
Here, where is it? Okay, here, although he's not moving, right there's a nucleus of that cell. And so we've got some good cytoplasmic streaming going on there too. So, and this is really, I mean, this is not something that, you know, in 1406 we look for it, but we don't see it very often. Here we see it, and it's pretty good. Anybody else is moving? No? Nobody else is moving? Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at an epidermal tissue, but it's also photosynthetic. So it pulls double duty. This is an epidermal tissue. But it's also photosynthetic. All right. Now, what are the little green spheres that are moving around? Those are the chloroplasts. So those are the photosynthetic part. Those are the chloroplasts, are the little tiny green spheres that you see there. All right, surrounding, or all of the material that you see that's moving throughout there, is the cytoplasm. Okay? And then, of course, what do we call the outer boundary? We're still talking cell walls here. Okay? All right? The little green spheres that you see there that are moving around, those are the chloroplasts.
And the smaller ones were
No, just the material inside the cell is cytoplasm. Okay? Just the general material inside of the cell is cytoplasm. So this stuff is moving around pretty good. All right, any questions?
That's all we need to know.
That's all you need to know on that.
So,
Is it epidermal tissue?
cytoplasmic stream.
The name of the plant is called Elodea.
Elodea.
You don't need to know where it came, you won't need to know that, but that's just a common green aquatic plant.
So only test are you going to try to get it?
Oh, it might. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's pretty cool.
All
right.
Very bottom.
Yeah.
Before you move it, right below where it says chloroplast.
Yeah.
What are those? It looks like it's bubbling almost.
Yeah, I know. This is just the other things in the cytoplasm. These are other granules or other just material that's found inside the cytoplasm. That's all. It's just other material inside there. Not viruses. There may be some ciliates or other things in there as well, because this was out of the pond. I scooped it out of some pond water from some other plants, so it could be any number of things in there. Okay? All right, so that's it for the wet mounts. We do have 3 slides to look at for the prepared slides here.
There's only 2.
But I'm adding the third. Adding the third.
Don't add.
It's not that much. Please. It's one thing.
I swear, I think
All
my
right.
brain is like full.
The first one we're going to look at.
Like compassion.
Now we're going to look at vascular tissue. Let me see.
Dead cells.
I'll think about what I want y'all to do with your fruits here in a second. Think. All right, so listen. The first one we want to look at is going to be Acer rubrum. You don't have to know what Acer rubrum is, but it's a maple tree. It's a red maple. But just in case you wonder what kind of plant it is, I'm not going to ask you from what plant did this come from. That I'm not going to do. But you want to look for these little guys that look like little matchsticks, okay? That's what we're looking at. I'm going to go to this little cluster right here because it's really cool, right here, to see them all together. And then I'm going to show them to you separated. So I'm looking at this little cluster right here, okay? That's a bunch of cells, is what that is. Okay? And what I want you to notice is that what I have here is I've got lots of cells that are kind of stacked on each other. Okay? Now, the tissue that we're looking at here, this is xylem.
That whole thing?
This whole thing that we're looking at, this is xylem tissue. It transports water. And it's dead at maturity. Basically, this is nothing more than a series of cells that are stacked on together like pipes. So this is like plumbing. Okay, this is like plumbing pipes.
That kind of be like hair in a way. Like, isn't it your hair?
Doesn't your hair look like that?
Well, hair is dead, but it doesn't look like that.
It doesn't?
Yeah. Hair is dead. This is all dead, but it doesn't look like that. All right, this is a series of tubes. Water will pass through the tubes this way, up the plant. All right? The cells that you're looking at, they are called vessel cells. So the name of the tissue is xylem. Tissue is xylem. These cells are called vessel cells. They're the wider of the two cells.
Are those dots? Bless you.
Yes, I'm going to tell you what that means. Yes, there's dots inside of them, okay? All right, I want you to look at the three cells that are kind of up here at the very top, right here, and right here. Okay, this one is a good example because you can see the tip. The tip is tapered and a little more pointed. These are simply called fiber cells. The tissue is sclerenchyma. So look, sclerenchyma comes in two types of cells, stone cells and fiber cells. So it depends. So that's why they have a different name. Okay? So sclerenchyma is the tissue, and the cells can come in one of two types, fiber cells or stone cells. Okay? The cells, individual cells, are wider. They are not tapered at the ends. They belong to the tissue that is called xylem, and those cells are called vessel cells. Now, the vessel cells may be hanging around by themselves. So let me show you what they look like if they're hanging around by themselves. Most of what you see here are fiber cells. These are some more vessel cells that are hanging around in a group. And I want you to notice that you have openings in them. They're little tiny holes in them. So there's another little cluster of vessel cells there.
So like the whole square is the vessel cell?
Each cell is called a vessel cell. Okay, each cell. Oh, here's a good one. By himself. Where'd he go? Right? He's kind of stacked on top of other guys. But there's a little lone one here too. Okay, here's a couple of them that are probably just overlaid on each other. Here's one by himself. That's one vessel cell. They're wider. They're dotted with these little tiny holes in them. The fiber cells are longer and narrower and tapered at the ends. Okay? So what they've done to this is they've taken this and smushed it all out and spread it all out. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's all together. So just kind of keep in mind we're looking at them kind of separated and mashed apart from one another. Okay? Any questions?
So fiber cells are made of sclerenchyma.
Yep, the tissue is called sclerenchyma. These are fiber cells.
Are made of xylem.
Vessel cells belong to the tissue called xylem. Xylem is the tissue. Xylem is made of vessel cells. Sclerenchyma is made of fiber cells. Okay? All right. So there is another kind of xylem cell. We call them tracheids. We need to look at the slide that says Pinus australis. It's a pine tree. Okay? Here we go. Here's several of them right here. Tracheids are long tubes. And they kind of look like, a flute maybe.
I don't think your eyes are black.
Okay. So they're wide. This is a tracheid with pits. And the pits are the tiny little holes right there. Those are little pits. So the both types of xylem tissue, the ones that are the vessel cells and those that are called the tracheids, both of those cell types help to transport water both vertically and laterally through all the plant parts. These are dead as well. There is no cell of xylem that's living. They're dead cells when they're mature, and really they're nothing more than a bunch of hollow tubes. They're pipes, basically, that are going to transport the water up, from the roots up, into all parts that branch out laterally. Okay?
So, they're tissue,
It's xylem.
so tissue xylem, but they're called
The
tracheids.
cells are called tracheids. Xylem is a tissue that's made up of two cells. The definition of a tissue is two or more cell types working together to perform a specific function. So in this case, the tissue is called xylem. The two cell types are called vessel elements and tracheids. Okay?
Bless you. Thank you.
All right, so look, the last slide, he's not on your list, but he is also the very last slide in your slide box. He is called cucurbita. He's pumpkin, basically. That's what pumpkin is. He's cucurbita. So look.
What was the last one?
The last one was Pinus australis. But I'm not going to ask you the name. I'm just, in case you're wondering what it is. Okay, so I want you to look at this right here. This is the outside of a pumpkin stem. That's the outside right there. Okay?
You're not going to ask any for this one either.
I want to ask you the name. You don't have to, I'm just, people always go, what is cucurbita? I'm just telling you, it's pumpkin. Okay? What is it? Cucurbita. C-U-R-C-U-R-B-I-T-A. Cucurbita. It's pumpkin. Alright, so look. When you put those vessel elements and those tracheids with pits together, we call it the tissue xylem. Okay, so look, that's what we're looking at here on the outside. Okay, right here. This tissue here, approximately that area, this is xylem. That's what it looks like if the tissue was together instead of all smoothed out so we can see the individual cells. Get it? Okay? So what I've got here are two things. My xylem here in this, I've got two things. I've got tracheas plus vessel elements here. Got it?
And it's the, I know there's like two kind of parts. Are those both xylem?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Outside xylem. Inside tissue here, this is phloem. Phloem conducts sugars and the products of photosynthesis from the leaves to all other plant parts. Okay?
So do you ask a question about this? Just like, this is xylem, this is phloem.
I only want you to know phloem, but I want you to see what xylem looks like when it's put together as a tissue.
Okay.
Instead of all separated out, because in the pine and the maple, what was happening was they separated it all out so you could see the individual cells. This is what it would look like in its natural state. This is what the tissue would look like.
Okay. So just no phloem.
Uh-huh. Well, no.
No, no.
I'm going to tell you what you need to know. There's a special kind of cell in here. So look, I want you to keep this in mind. When we start looking at root stems and leaves, you're going to have to know what the xylem and what the phloem looks like. The rule is xylem is always, okay?
In the middle.
Wait a minute. Got them backwards. My brain's not working. My brain's not working. No, okay, that's what I did. Okay, wait, I had it backwards. I'm thinking, wait, that's not right. All right, look at these guys here. See how they have all their pits? I have them flipped. This is xylem. That's phloem. Okay, had them flipped. Sorry. Just labeling, my brain's not working right. Okay?
So the red stuff is xylem. and
This
the
is
other-
xylem. Okay? This is xylem. Outside's phloem. So I'm sitting here fixing to tell you the right orientation, but I have them labeled wrong. All right, so look, here we go. So, xylem. Vessel elements and tracheas, phloem. Because phloem is always on the outside, xylem is always on the inside. So when you look at the way that the tissues are arranged in root stems and leaves, you will always see phloem first, xylem will be on the inside. Okay, kind of a general rule. So I want to look at the phloem here, so I want to look on the outside. All right, so what we see here is phloem, right here. Phloem is living. Phloem is living. When it conducts its sugars, it is a living tissue. And so what I want you to notice is, here are my cells. My cells are all kind of stacked. They're very similar. And I want you to notice these little kind of divisions there. And there's one up there. There's several. The cells of phloem, so the tissue here is phloem. The cells rather, that make up the tissue phloem are called sieve tube members or elements, either one. You can call them elements. And between this, what separates the two cells is called a sieve plate. The sieve plate is porous. It has holes in it. I'll kind of draw those like a little hole or something. And it's kind of like a colander that you would have at home to drain your pasta. There's little tiny holes in there that's going to allow the sugars to pass through them.
So
Okay?
the sieve plates are the division.
What separate the sieve tube members from each other?
Okay, and then the sieve tube members. That's what I meant to ask.
That's the cell.
Okay.
They're the elongated cells. Phloem's to the outside, xylem is to the inside. Okay? So what you see here, this is the phloem, this is the xylem. Okay?
So sieve tube members are
This cell